Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to create a reusable React component that handles location related functionality such as obtaining the user's current location, reverse geocoding, that is converting the coordinates longitude and latitude to a place name, as well as forward geocoding, that is converting a place name to coordinates. I have the application on a live server. If you go on to this link that I provided in the description, you can be able to test the application and see how it works. So on my application here, there is a button component which says enter delivery address. If I click on that button, there is a modal that shows up, and on the modal, if I click change, you can see there's a pop-up that says this particular application wants to know my location. If I select allow, you can see there is an address that I actually received from the Mapbox API, and it's persisted on my local storage. If I click done, the address stays. If I navigate to go to the cart, which is another route, you can see the address is still persisted there. I can even change it from here as well. I can actually manually change it. I can click edit and start typing an address. So if I start typing an address, you can see there are a couple of suggestions that come forth. Right. Then I can select an address of my choice, and the address is persisted as well in the local storage on my browser, on my machine. If I click done, then I navigate back to my home route, you can see the address is there. So this is something we're going to be coding together today. But before you go onto your favorite code editor, there are some things that you need to have in place. Number one, you need to create a Mapbox account. If you don't have, please kindly go to the link here that I've provided on the description as well. Create an account. Once you've created an account, kindly navigate to the dashboard of Mapbox. So that dashboard looks like this, something like this. On the dashboard, there is an option for you to create an access token. This access token, that's the one that you'll be using to get access to the services of Mapbox API. I will show you later on how we can construct an endpoint and use the token that we create here, right? So once you create a token, you can see that the token can actually be edited, right? So click on this ellipsis here to edit the token. Once you click here and select edit, you will be directed to another page. So the next page you'll be directed to looks similar as this one. On that page, scroll to the bottom of the page where you can see URLs. So URLs restrict this token to specific URLs. Here you can select which URLs are supposed to use the token. Firstly, you should add the localhost 3000 for you to be able to do testing on your local machine. After you've done coding this project and you deploy it, for example on Vessel, you should come back here as well and add another URL for your application on the live server. Right, let's go back to our live server application. Right, so as we said, this is something we're going to be building. So just make sure you go again to my repo and clone this repo. So on the repo, you can see there are 4 branches. There are starter files for JavaScript as well as TypeScript. I'll be using TypeScript. So clone, do git clone to a location of your choice on your machine. Once you clone, then you can do git checkout to TS data, right, for us to start the project. Right, as I was saying, if you open your favorite code editor, for example VS Code, and open the integrated terminal, simply navigate to a location of your choice. For example, me, I've navigated to videos, and I do git clone the repo, right? I git clone this repo. Once I cloned it, then I can type git checkout ts data, because I'll be using TypeScript. If you want to use JavaScript, just do git checkout js data, as you can see on the different branches here. So those are the starter files. Once you have cloned and navigated or change the repo on your local machine to starter files, then you can simply do yarn. To install the dependencies. So I've done that already. Once the dependencies have been installed, you can see your node modules as well as your package.json, which looks like mine, right? And you should have a folder structure which looks like mine as well. So right here on our application, I'm going to be concentrating more on the location form.txt and location button.txt, right? The rest is set up for you. Right, once you're done installing the dependencies and you're ready to go, kindly do yarn dev on your terminal to start the server. So once you start the server, then on your browser, go to localhost 3000. Once you go to the localhost 3000, you can see everything is pretty much hard-coded here, right? It's pretty much hard-coded here. So we're going to be working on that. So like I said, we're going to be focusing on the location search component as well as the location button. For now, let's just start on the location search component and actually start coding. So I'm just going to close some of these tabs that we don't need, and I'm going to extend this so that you can be able to see. Okay, so in terms of code that we're going to be writing here, I don't want to waste much of your time, guys. I'm going to just copy and paste the code that I've typed already and explain to you how it works. Please note I've added a toast here. That's a React hot toast. I've added it on top. Then I'm going to be putting the code that I've just typed already. So this is the code that I've typed already. Right, let's fix that error. Which error is that? We have to import the type. So if you're using TypeScript, kindly note that you need a React type here. Okay, if you're using JavaScript, you don't need that. You just need to put event here. Okay, so once we're done with that, let's go ahead now. I can explain what each and every code is doing. So firstly, we have state variables here, all these state variables. So these are our state variables here that we have here. So these state variables, number one, I've got the is editing state variable. So this is a Boolean state variable that determines whether the user is currently editing the location input field or not. So basically, it's like when you come here and it says whether you're editing. So this is the state variable that controls that. Okay. Then secondly, we've got the location. So this is an object. If I hover here, you can see it's an object. It's a state variable that holds the latitude and longitude coordinates of the user current location. It can be null to start with if the location is not yet obtained. Then we have the query state variable, which stores the value of the location input field, right? So whenever a user is typing something here, the query will be storing that value. Okay. Then we have the suggestions. This is an array state variable. You can see here, it's an array. It holds a list of suggested place names based on the user input. All right, we're going to be using the Navigator API. This comes pre-built with most browsers, right? So what we need to use effects, right? So there are two use effects tools. So I'm going to start with the first one. The first use effect hook it has got a custom function inside which is called ask for location permission, right? So this hook is used to perform side effects when the component mounts. It starts by checking if the browser supports geolocation. So it starts here by checking if the browser supports geolocation in the Navigator API. If supported, it queries for the user's permission using the navigator.permissions.query, right? And from then it handles different permission states. So if the permission is granted, it calls for the ask location function, which uses the navigator.geolocation.get current position. As you can see here, that's where we get the latitude and the longitude. We get it from the position object. Then we actually destructure here, right? Okay. If it then updates the location state variable, here the location state variable is updated, right? If permission is denied though, then an error message is displayed in the React toast. So if permission is denied here, then a toast will say location access has been denied. Otherwise, if there's errors, we just handle those errors by logging them, right? So if geolocation is not supported, we send another toast as well to say geolocation is not supported, right? So this is the first use effect that we need. So you can just quickly type that. You can see on the completed code how it's typed, and you can fill in your code, right? Then secondly, we need another use effect, right? So this hook performs side effects when the location state variable changes. It sends the request now to the Mapbox API. So we've constructed our endpoint, as you can see here, for the Mapbox API, like that. There are some compulsory parameters that you should add, as well as optional parameters such as proximity and country, right? Then obviously you need to add the token. Please kindly note that you need to add the token as an environment variable here, right? Okay, right. So it sends the request to the Mapbox geocoding API using the octet coordinates, which is the longitude and the latitude. Then a reverse geocoding is performed to retrieve the place name. So we retrieve the place name here. Once we get the place name, then we set it up. We store it in the local storage.setItem function. So we use that function to store the place name value of the query, right? Then we'll need to perform a forward geocoding, right? So for that, we now need a handle change function. So whenever a user is typing something here, so we actually need to update here. So we need to update the value of the query. Then on change here, we need to call the function handle change, right? So the handle change function is triggered whenever a user types something, changes the value of the location input field. So it sets the query state variable to the current input value. It then sends a request to the Mapbox geocoding API, right? As we can see here. As you can see here, right? So whatever value is entered here, right, then the response data is stored in the suggestion state variable as results here, right? So whenever there's an error, just log that error. Okay, so here we are performing a forward geocoding, right? Then lastly, we need to handle the selected address. Remember, when the user is typing something, there are actually auto completion happening, and there's a different addresses that show up, and a user will select the address that suits them, right? So that handle address, what we need to do now with that function, when it's called, when the user selects a location from the suggested options, it saves the selected address in the browser local storage using again local storage.setItem function, right? It then sets the query state variable to the selected address. Then the next thing that we do after that, after setting the query, is just to clear the suggestions and set the editing to false, right? So we need to now update this suggestion box, right? So let me quickly add the relevant code for that. So we need to change this to this particular code. So quickly go ahead and update as well your code to this relevant code. Right, so we're pretty much done here on this location search for form component. Now let's go to the location pattern component. We don't need to do much of editing here. We just need to retrieve the date, the delivery address from the local storage. So that's what we need to do. So let's just update with this code here to get the address of the local storage. So once we get that, we need to show it on the button. So this is the button component. We need to show it to the user, right? So let's just update our code. So if there is an address from the local storage, let's display that address. Otherwise, let's show the prompt enter delivery address, right? Then the other thing that we need to do is actually, when a user now is typing, right, is typing, when they say click change here, and when they're typing, it's either we show the delivery address or we show the text that says click change, right? Okay, so let's update that as well, that paragraph, the relevant code. So this we update as well, the relevant code. Okay, so make sure you have your token in the environmental .env file. So alright, so this is how you just add your token from your Mapbox account. Just say React _app _Mapbox _token and populate the token here, right? So populate it like that. Okay, once you're done populating, it's time for testing, right? So we've updated our code. Let's actually do the testing on our local hosts, right? So it actually pick up an address which is already in my local storage, but let me just reset the permissions here. So I'm going to reset the permission. So you just click on this I, say reset permission, and reload this browser. Okay, it says now enter address here. Okay, so what I can do, let me just clear my local storage. Go to inspect applications, local storage, then delete this delivery address, delete it like that. Okay, then just refresh. Then now you can see there's no address. So let's test. Let's click on this button and let's click change. It asks me for a location. Then I'm going to, okay, something that we missed. This is hard-coded address, so we need to change that on our location button. No, it's not on the location button, it's actually on the location search form component. So we need to update this hard-coded address to be our query. So this should be query, just like that. Okay, then let's come back here. So this hard-coded address should change. Okay, let me just click allow, click the button, click change. You can see the address is populated. Right, if I click done, there's the address. If I navigate to cart, there's the address. I can change the address from cart. I can manually change it. Click edit, delete this one, and put an address of my choice. Select it. There it's populated. I click done. There's the address. I can navigate back to home. There's the address. So yes friends, this is how you can create this component. I'm sure it is something that can work for your web applications in React. If you like this video, please subscribe, give me a like on my GitHub as well as on my channel. Thank you very much.